We've got a game day episode, game day morning. I think that's trademarked by the NFL Network, but nonetheless, we've got you a show of sorts to get you guys ready for this gosh darn Jets Broncos game this morning, and we've got a special guest to do it. Boy Green Daily starts right now.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, and we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paulson Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. We have a lot of streaming to happen today. We've got Boy Green Daily this morning. We'll do a live watch party and play-by-play in less than 2 hours, where we'll be doing the full Jets-Broncos game at 9:30. That game, of course, is in London, and then we'll do a post-game show. All that coming up today, so buckle your seatbelts, people. It's coming. And something else that's coming is our resident NFL insider. He's got a Substack that you should be exploring, and we'll explain why. Plus, we'll be talking about all kinds of things, Jets and NFL trade deadline and more. NFL insider Matt Lombardo here on the show. What's up, Matt?
Paul, what's going on, man? Hey, I saw the video of the party last week at MetLife Stadium and the live performance of the theme song. It always gets me going, even more than the flavored water in the coffee mug that gets me going. The theme song gets me going every day, and it was performed live at the tailgate. Looked like a great time.
All right, let's do it. Here you go, you freaks.
1, 2, 3. Whoa! Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. Everyone,
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets.
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's go!
Nothing better to get you fired up than a live HEP performance. We'll have to try to see if we can work it around your busy NFL insider schedule next year, Matt, because we're going to be doing it once a year. So we'll see if we can work that around. That would be great to have you there, and we'll blow it up even bigger. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man. I saw the video and I was like, that looked like a great time. There's no better way to get you going in the morning, and an early morning today with a big game against the Broncos.
That's true. And I told you, Matt, before the show that I'm sick as a dog. Unfortunately, my children got sick at the probably at the game because that was the only thing they were at most recently until they just eventually got sick this week. And so I'm sick as a dog, but we're going to power through. But the only thing I'm sicker of is the Jets losing. And hopefully, for the love of God, they could get a win today, which would, help me turn my spirits around. Matt, lay it to me straight here. You know, that's what friends are supposed to do. Don't sugarcoat it. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. You know what I'm going to ask you. What is the likelihood of the Jets making me feel slightly better today in my horrific physical condition with a possible win against the Denver Broncos in a different country?
Yeah, I don't love the matchup. I'm going to give it to you straight.
Okay.
I don't have great bedside manner as a doctor. I'm just going to give it to you straight. I don't love the matchup, right? But I do think that when you look at what both of these teams do really well, it's running the ball on the Jets side of the ledger, and it's stopping the run with the Broncos. So this could be where this thing is decided, because the Jets enter the fourth leading rushing offense in the league. They're averaging 145 yards per game. Broncos fifth leading rushing defense, and they just came off of holding Saquon Barkley to 6 carries for 30 yards. And that's where I say I don't love the matchup. But you look at Philly, you look at their offensive line issues, you look at their lack of identity. If the Jets can commit to Breece Hall, if they can commit to Isaiah Davis, and they can commit to getting these guys maybe bouncing the ball outside in ways that the Eagles didn't with Saquon Barkley last week, then maybe you build some offensive momentum that snowballs a little bit. The one thing I will say is I watched that game pretty closely. It was the lead section of the column on Monday morning over at Between the Hash Marks. The Broncos sell out to stop the run. They put 8, sometimes 9 guys in the box to take Saquon Barkley away. So what the Eagles didn't do a good enough job that maybe Justin Fields and the Jets are able to do is you throw over the box early. You throw a go route to Garrett Wilson early on. You try to get a strike down the field early to kind of loosen up that defense and set the tone. But you and I talked about it before the game, and we see it around the league every week. The matchups that you look at and you say, oh, that's going to be a blowout. The Jets have no chance. Well, those are the games that sometimes you pick off a team.
Yeah, which we can only hope because Jet fans are absolutely starving for something. And again, maybe we talked about it before the show that there are two things that can happen here when a team travels to London at 0-5. It can extrapolate and make it so much worse being in a circumstance that's you're sacrificing a home game here for this international game, and you're out on your own. And you just sort of get lost in the sauce here with everything that comes with doing an international trip with time zone differences, this, that, or the other, and you're not prepared enough, and then you just implode. Or the other side, where it's a college-like atmosphere where you guys are all bunked up together, and it's you against the world, and your record stinks, and you're sleeping next to the doors of your other coaches, and then somehow there's some sort of rallying cry here where they find something here in London that they can build for the rest of the season. So to me, I think it's going to be one of the extremes. I don't think it's just going to be, somewhere in the middle. I think it's going to be one of these polar opposites, and we will see, which one it is. We're going to find that out, I imagine, very quickly here in this Jets-Broncos game at 9:30. Again, we got our NFL insider here, Matt Lombardo. You see it on the screen, mattlombardo.nfl.substack.com, where you can get Matt Lombardo all gosh darn week long, baby. That is the way to do it, to support. Now, Matt, here's the other thing. The Jets are 0-5, of course, so we're less than a month from the NFL's trade deadline, which is Tuesday, November 4th, and NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported this morning. Let's throw it up here on the screen. The Jets have been receiving trade calls from other teams ahead of the deadline. Quote, teams have called the Jets and Titans about potential trades, which is not a surprise given their combined 1-9 record. Tennessee remains open for business, and after the Jets return from London, where they play the Broncos on Sunday, they'll regroup and assess where they are. Trades are possible, but don't be surprised if teams without great records acquire talent for future years, as the Jets recently did when they traded for Titans quarterback Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Good value is good value, end quote. He also said earlier in this piece, Matt Lombardo, that someone that is expected to garner significant interest around the league is running back Breece Hall. Now, Breece Hall said to the media this week, hey, I want to be a Jet. Maybe he's just saying the right things. Maybe he really means that. I don't know. But he says he wants to be a Jet. He doesn't want to go anywhere despite the rumors. But, this is a interesting – the Jets only have 2 primetime games on the schedule. That's a Monday night game we already saw. Yikes. And then a Thursday night game later in the season. But what this game does serve – here, Matt Lombardo, is a standalone game. This is going to be the only game on, quote-unquote, in town, albeit not at a nighttime window for us here in the States, but a morning window, and that could be a spotlight sometimes for some of these players.
Oh, for sure. And it's not just the spotlight for Breece Hall. There are some parallels. So you talk about it being a potential rallying point for the Jets season and for this roster and for this coaching staff. It very well might be. If you fly over to London and you knock off a Broncos team coming off that emotional win that they had in Philly a week ago, where Sean Payton ordered the team bus to blare the horns down Broad Street on the way back to the hotel to celebrate, that win meant a little bit more for them. It could even be the launching pad game for the Broncos, or maybe this is a little bit of an emotional letdown for Denver flying over there. But we touched on this before the show. You think back to a year ago. It was this week, not this week on the schedule, but it was the week coming out of London where they threw Robert Saleh off the plane into the Atlantic Ocean on the flight back. Right. This was when the changes started to happen for the Jets after this trip. You have the trade deadline coming up. I do wonder if this gets out of hand early on, if the Broncos jump out to a 10-0 lead in the first quarter, if this doesn't become the Breece Hall showcase game. And maybe it becomes that anyway. When you look at what Breece Hall's been able to do, he's coming off his best game of the season. He is averaging 5.3 yards per carry. There's going to be a market for him when you look at potential contending teams that are banged up at running back. Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers are starting you and me at running back. this week when they have Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris both on injured reserve. There's a definite need for a grounded pound type of team that has designs on making a run in the AFC. You look at the Chicago Bears. I know for a fact they're not sold on DeAndre Swift. Their rookie running back Monongai is taking some time to kind of get his sea legs underneath him. So there is going to be a market for Breece Hall. And I just wonder if the Jets don't survey the landscape, if they're flying home 0-6, that maybe they don't wait to touch down at LaGuardia. Maybe they just decide, hey, we're going to pick up the airplane phone and we're going to call around and we're going to try to see if we can't move on from a guy like Breece Hall, especially if he has a big game. Strike while the iron's hot. Let Isaiah Davis, carry the load the rest of the way. And you get an asset to continue building in a rebuild that seems to be painfully slow to get started.
Yeah, see, because no matter what happens with this Breece Hall thing, there's a chance for this horrificness, right? So let's say you say, no, we're not going to trade him. We're going to try to keep him. Right? Like, screw the rest of the league. And then you keep him for this year, whatever. And then we get to the offseason. He signs with another team. And then you sign somebody. And then the comp pick formula cancels it out and you get nothing. That's what happened last year, or rather a couple of months ago with DJ Reed. That happened with the Jets. Washington Commanders called the Jets and, hey, we want DJ Reed. Jets said, pound sand, buddy. No chance. And they went, all right. And they traded for Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints, giving up a bunch of picks for him. That could have been the Jets. The Jets thought they were going to get a comp pick. They did not. The fourth-round pick they were supposed to get got canceled out by Justin Fields specifically. So now that's the danger of Breece Hall. And then, if you trade him, that could signal to the locker room that you're waving the white flag when you trade one of your best players on offense.
They'd be 0-6 if they lose 0-6. So
I guess that's also true.
The white flag should be flying out of the cockpit. When
Fair
teams
enough.
land, for Super Bowl week and the pilots unfurl the team flag as they're pulling into the hangar, like they should be, if they're 0-6, fly the white flag all the way transatlantic on the way home.
That's true and very accurate. Let's see. Oh, here we go. We got a membership being gifted. Shout out to Mother Effing 2. Andre Vega. So shout out to MFC. Thank you for gifting this before the show even started. That's the kind of dedication we need around here, baby, with what is going on. Let me ask you this, Matt, because I heard this. So I'm a big schedule geek nerd. I love the schedule. I love the process of the schedule. And every year I've got someone from the scheduling office, one of the 4 or 5 people that decide this thing and figure it all out. And he told me off there, he said, because we were talking about international, the Jets had an international game. And I'm like, hey, man, so where's this all going? He says, I'm going to be straight with you. We're going to get to a point, not if, like this is going to happen. I'm like, all right, lay it on me. That like every team will have an international game on their schedule moving forward. So everyone will have one, and it'll just become a part of the fabric of this. And then maybe another bye week gets added, or we'll fit with the 18 games eventually coming due and all that jazz. But he just says that that's going to become a fabric of all this. It's very important when things are important to the NFL. They make sure they get it done with international expansion and things of that nature. So it sounds like this London and Germany and Spain and Brazil and everywhere else they're going. That just seems like something everyone's going to have to get used to here, Matt.
Yeah, and you know what I found really interesting is the NFL scheduled the Vikings back-to-back internationally. You went Dublin to London in back-to-back weeks. I do wonder, because everybody talks about the potential of putting a team over there, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you probably have to have an international division because you can't have teams flying back and forth every single week. I do wonder if the norm becomes every team has a 2-week international schedule. And it's just, okay, this is the Jets week to go back to back. You're going to go Munich and then you're going to go Dublin, or you're going to go London and you're going to go Milan, or you're going to go Spain, or whatever it is. And it becomes a 2-game stretch where you have that collegial get out of town, spend the week or the 2 weeks, in that city. But it becomes a part of, okay, there's a 1 o'clock window, a 4 o'clock window, and a night game. But every week there's a 9:30 game. And to ease the travel, we're going to put one of the teams over there for 2 weeks in a row, or even both teams 2 weeks in a row, and move it around, and you get your bye week coming in. And I'll go a step further. If they move to an 18-game schedule, you could conceivably have a bye week before the trip and after the trip. You could conceivably build the schedule that way. And it just seems like it makes a lot more sense than planting a team over there and having a team play 4 straight home games and fly them over, and the advantages that go with all that. Having some sort of rotating tour makes a lot of sense to me.
All right, let me ask you, because I see this. Dave Brigger says international games are trash, he says. So I ask you, Matt, are you a fan of the international schedule? Obviously, it's been around here for a few years, but every year we're getting more and more and more, seemingly.
Yeah, I feel bad for the home fans that lose a home game. I feel a lot of empathy for those fans because you only get 7 or 8 of those, 8 or 9 of those per year, and
Mhm.
to lose one of them, it does feel unfortunate. But I think that this is just the direction the NFL is going. They understand that the NFL has the United States market, in a vice grip. Like we're all going to watch the games every single week.
Yeah.
There's only so much money to be going around. But when you can plant a game in 5 or 6 countries around the world and tap into that market and the ticket base and the TV rights and the jersey sales and grow the game, it feels like these showcase events are just kind of that necessary evil to what the NFL is trying to do, which has become not America's game, but I think the NFL has designs on being FIFA. I think they have designs on challenging soccer as the most popular sport on the planet. Now, I don't know that that's ever going to reach that level, but they're certainly adopting a posture that they're going to try. Opening the season with a game in Brazil, expanding the amount of countries where they're flying overseas to play these games beyond just being in London. It just seems like there's a method to the madness, and as always, it always comes down to the green.
That's for sure. Now it's going to be weird. I'm seeing people complain, like there's people on the West Coast that are getting 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
football. Which, hey, I mean, that sounds great to me. I mean, I'll tell you this: it's going to be weird, right? We do this Boy Green Daily, which we're going to do for another 15 minutes or so. Then we got to get ready immediately for the play-by-play analysis and then the post-game show. It's all going to be sort of wrapped up by 1 o'clock, and then well, here's the rest of football. So it's going to be very bizarre. I'm going to be honest in terms of just the mental. I'm looking at the time, and things aren't going to be making sense. So that part will be a little bit weird. Let me go back to the Broncos for a second, because before the year, and shout out, by the way, to Rich Eisen. He just got 1 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. So
That's
that
amazing.
is, and that plaque's coming over there on the West Coast. That'll be cool. So that's a great success, and shout out to Rich. And Rich is someone that I watch a lot of his shows throughout the week. And he is someone that has had a lot of big guests on his show, and he kept asking during the summer, like, who's the team that, like, man, they're coming. If you looked on the Chinese calendar, you're flipping through who the team, where the year of the blah. And the year of the blah, based on the majority of all what those people said, was Broncos. So like, oh yeah, Broncos,
Yeah.
baby, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming. They kept saying it over and over and over again. And now we're 5 weeks into the season. There's been some good and some bad. I bring it back to you, Matt. Was that appropriate for everyone to yell the Broncos name? Is that still on track? What do you make of them?
I was yelling Broncos with a megaphone from March,
There you go.
right? I mean, I was all in last summer on the Commanders being the team that could wreck somebody's day, and everybody's saying, oh, they're Jaden Daniels needs to develop, and they're in a division with Philly, and they're not going to be that good. All these one possession wins are going to come back to bite them in the postseason. You kind of got to start to get a similar feel about Bo Nix and especially that defense going into this season. And that's where I don't love this matchup for the Jets, because as great as Garrett Wilson has been, you're staring across the line of scrimmage at Patrick Surtain. You look at what the Jets offensive line, they're kind of still trying to find an identity. Nick Bonito is on pace for like 25 sacks. Just a game wrecker,
Yeah.
a pressure machine. They have all of the pieces. They have a Super Bowl winning head coach. And I wrote this in the column on Monday morning. When you saw what they did late, spreading the ball around, not just to Cortland Sutton, but getting Troy Franklin involved, getting Evan Ingram involved, Bo Nix making plays with his legs in big spots and scrambling for third downs and those sort of things, they're starting to embody, I think, the brand of football Sean Payton wanted to play all along when he took that job. Didn't have the horses to do it with Russell Wilson. He has the quarterback to do it now. I think they have all the elements to be a team that could push for the AFC West championship, could make a playoff run. I don't think that they're going to go into Buffalo and win an AFC title game. I don't know that they're ready in an AFC title game situation to go into Arrowhead and win. But they might be the biggest threat to Kansas City winning that division and extending that reign of terror and getting home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So, yeah, I think the Broncos are for real. I think they're a team that is built to win in the postseason. They stop the run. They're starting to run the ball really well, not just with RJ Harvey, but also the name is escaping me, but they
Oh,
have a
J.K.
veteran back out there,
Dobbins. Yeah,
J.K.
yeah,
Dobbins. Yeah,
yeah,
J.K.
yeah.
Dobbins. I think he's sixth in the league in rushing yards right
Yeah,
now.
terrific. Yeah.
So their brand of football travels. They stop the run, they run the ball well, and they have a rookie quarterback who's on the ascent. So yeah, I think the preseason hype was justified, and today might be a showcase type of game for them.
It could be. So, but let's sort of say this. So the Jets, obviously, they're a desperate animal in the corner. You say you don't like the matchup, but one of the things I want to do real quick is play a little factor fiction. Okay. So Aaron Glenn says, turnovers come in bunches. And we've gone to the grocery store a few times, and those bunches haven't been available. Do you agree that turnovers come in bunches and that inevitably it's just going to happen and just sort of when it rains, it pours?
Normally, yes, but I'm just going to zero in on
All right.
Sauce Gardner because when Sauce
Okay.
Gardner signed that extension, we were on the show that Sunday and we talked about Aaron Glenn's influence and that scheme, his ability to start pulling down interceptions because the interceptions were not part of the equation with Sauce Gardner.
Right.
Great lockdown
Right.
corner, put him on an island, he'll neutralize your top receiver. Not going to throw that way very often, and when they do, unfortunately, he's not pulling down those picks. Eventually, you kind of are what you are, right? I mean, if you're telling people that you're not an interception machine, eventually the data is going to back that up, and it's starting to back that up with Sauce Gardner. It's starting to back it up with the Jets that they can't seem to create turnovers. The bunches aren't coming. So unfortunately, this incarnation of the Jets, while certainly they could go out and have a 3 turnover game today, I don't think that they're going to be the type of team that's going to change its MO and find its ability to create takeaways.
What do you make of Aaron Glenn? A lot of Jet fans are sort of all over the place because they're looking around the league at these other teams having success, first-year coaches, or like I said, like obviously Mike Vrabel has been a head coach before, but he's at a new place, New England, or you go to Liam Cohen in Jacksonville, who's getting his first opportunity, or even Ben Johnson, who's in that same office building as AG and him. Like, what's the sort of analysis here of this and looking around, because it seems like a lot of Jet fans are very frustrated with obviously the start to this year.
Yeah, I think the missing piece of the equation is the franchise quarterback, and it's really difficult to make a true evaluation of Aaron Glenn with Justin Fields, the quarterback. What we've seen from Justin Fields so far this year, the disappointing numbers in the red zone, a couple of the turnovers starting to pop up again, kind of one-dimensional, not giving you as much as you'd like to see in the vertical passing game at this stage of his career. Liam Cohen, the Jaguars are playing great despite Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence is there, and he was the missing piece late after that pick six with the game-winning drive in the fourth quarter. Caleb Williams is starting to really turn a corner, build his chemistry with Roma Dunze, with Alameda Zacchaeus, with the DJ Moore and all of the young pieces they have there. And you look at Mike Vrabel. I spoke to an executive this week who told me, quote, Drake May is the next Troy Aikman, that's what he believes Drake
Wow.
May is, from the body size, from the production, from the skill set. The Jets don't have that quarterback. But with that said, I would think even 6 games into the season, you would want to see more progress than this. And I'm not going to sit here and put Aaron Glenn on the hot seat because he doesn't have a quarterback. But I do think that if the defense continues to allow something like 32 points per game when you're a defensive-minded head coach and you have Quinnen Williams and you have Sauce Gardner and you have McDonald and you have these guys, if you don't start like making some hay on defense, I do wonder if there aren't some hard conversations at the end of the year because, yes, the Patriots went out and they spent a ton of money on veteran players. They drafted really well, got a franchise left tackle and a really good wide receiver to build around Drake May and Kyle Williams, and they go out and get Stephon Diggs, and they have Drake May, right? But they showed you how quickly you can turn things around in the course of one offseason. The Jets are still trying to deal with the money left over from Aaron Rodgers. They don't have a quarterback, but I'd like to see more progress being made on the field defensively overall and in the red zone than what we're seeing from Aaron Glenn so far. So while the seat might not be hot, they might be looking for the broiler switch to kind of turn up the knob a little bit.
I hate talking about draft less than the midway point of October, but I know you're a Penn State guy there, Matt Lombardo, and terrible news for you guys that Drew Allar is out for the season. And it sounds like his Penn State career is over as he's going to prepare for the NFL draft. My simple question is this: Will he be? We don't know where the Jets obviously are going to have their first round pick. If it was right now, they'd have the number 1 overall pick. Could be top 5, could be top 10. We'll see wherever it lands. But regardless of where it lands, if it's anywhere in that range, will Drew Allar be in the conversation for the New York Jets in the first round of April's draft?
You know, I really feel bad for Drew Aller because he takes them to the precipice of the national championship game last year, throws an interception on the last snap, comes back to Penn State thinking they're going to make a run. I talked to executives last offseason who told me that if Aller was in that draft, he would have been a top 3 pick. Might have gone number 1 overall over Cam Ward because he has the 6'5" frame. He has the big arm. He has a little bit of mobility. Josh Allen is the name you keep hearing just from a traits and size standpoint. But he regressed dramatically in this system this year. They went out and got a bunch of wide receivers. It just didn't work. And then I just feel terrible. The kid, I believe it was a broken ankle or something similarly catastrophic yesterday. Season's over. Combine prep will begin if he's even healthy enough to participate in the combine. I don't know that Drew Aller is going to be a first-round pick. I mean, he's a first-round pick on traits alone, but health and the tape hasn't matched those traits. But you look across college football, Arch Manning – probably not going to enter the draft coming off of this year. Might not even be the starter at Texas by the end of the year. Cade Klubnik, thought to be a number 1 pick, he's really regressed. You know, maybe it's the kid from Indiana having a great year. Maybe he comes out and he's the quarterback. But all of a sudden, and this is kind of falling into that Jets snake-bitten franchise narrative. This supposedly historic deep quarterback class that was going to come out this year with Aller and Klubnik and Manning and all of these guys, it's just not living up to it this year. And it could be another not great year, a suboptimal year to have the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, which only is fitting for everything that's ever happened to the green and white, but we'll see what happens. We'll end here. We'll give some shout outs to some of the fans. Shout out to Dino, who's chiming in on Twitter. Go Jets at the game with the wife. First Jets game.
Nice.
They're in London. And man, I have never been on one of these international trips, but I've seen people, I know of people who have also gone on these trips. And man, they say it's a Super Bowl like atmosphere just because, they in terms of the international scene don't always get a million games. So every game, every fan is representative. Jaguars fans, Bills fans, Jet fans, because the NFL world is this crazy place. So Dino and the wife, enjoy it. That should be awesome.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. And all the songs they sing throughout the games is always man, it's just we're getting a piece of that culture, which is cool. And obviously
we got to get Dino to check back with us and tell us where he had his best pint. Where was the best pub
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, we're definitely going to need some of that, insights, some recap of some of the best places to go, because hopefully that's one I'll check off the bucket list here in the near future. I see, oh boy, NY Jets FL saying he does not like Franklin. Are you a James Franklin guy?
Him and I are relatively close personally and professionally. He's been good to me through the years.
Okay.
But you look at, I think he's lost the locker room. I think he's lost that team. I think he's taken Penn State as far as he can take them. And you watch the press conference yesterday after the game. It feels like I think he's starting to know it, and it just feels like it's time for both sides to go their separate ways.
Okay, there you have it. There you go from Matt Lombardo. Well, guys, we're going to end the show early, which is, I know, going to sound really weird, but we're going to be back on in an hour because I got the play-by-play analysis that'll be coming for the game. So, again, kickoff is at 9:30. We'll be coming on about 9:15, 9:20. We'll give you guys all the latest updates on inactives and things of that nature and get you ready for this game. It'll be exclusively on NFL Network for those watching out in the universe. I don't have the TV rights, so I can't show the game with me on screen, but I will give you the play-by-play as I see it, as it's projecting here behind us. So it should be a good time. I want to give you a big shout out, Matt Lombardo. It's so fun getting to do all these different shows together. MC Show Digital has been a lot of fun. We get to do them over here. And man, this has been a haluva season, regardless of whatever the records are for any of these teams that we've been talking about.
It's been a blast. And here's the thing, Paul. I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather today, and you have an early game, so it might not be the night for it. But every Sunday night after the Sunday night game, I do a nightcap recap over on Substack Live, where pour a little scotch, a little spiced rum, whatever we have around in the old liquor cabinet. Whether it's this week or another week, I'd love to extend an invite to Paul Boy Green to pour yourself a glass, jump in, and co-host a nightcap with me. We
Wow,
just
that'd
bounce
be
around a couple
awesome.
topics, what we saw during the day, what stood out to us, and those sort of things.
Cool.
So if not today,
All
maybe
right.
another week, you can join the nightcap recap on Substack Live, and subscribers can check in, and we'll break it all down.
All right, there you have it. That will definitely happen before the season's over. We'll see what the health status is later this evening. But either way, I think they play a Thursday night game later in the year, so I'll have a free weekend. So yes, we'll definitely make that happen, Matt. Let's cheers that up. That is going to be awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Like the video, hit subscribe again. We'll be back in about an hour's time to talk some Jets Broncos play-by-play watch analysis. Matt, give us a plug on the way out.
Appreciate you. And the feeling is mutual, by the way, Paul, if it wasn't clear. I love coming on Talking Jets every Sunday morning with you and the people. Our pick show on Friday with Manchild has been a highlight of my week. Really enjoy it. But if you're a fan of what you see during these appearances, come check out the Substack Between the Hash Marks. It's Matt Lombardo, NFL.substack.com. If you used to read Peter King on Monday mornings, you can check out Four Downs every morning, the all-encompassing column. Peter's a loyal subscriber to Between the Hash Marks. If you enjoy podcasts like this, you have the Between the Hash Marks podcast on Tuesdays with myself and Mike Tanier. We're talking about all the big picture developments across the league. We bring on guests every week. And the mailbag on Friday, you can ask me your questions. I'll pose them to NFL executives, scouts, agents, and players. And we also like to write some fun features and stuff throughout the week, every week as well. So appreciate the opportunity to talk up the project. It's one of the fastest growing and best-selling Substacks across the platform. And Paul, I really enjoy sharing the work with your audience.
Hey, man, that does not surprise me based on everything that, your Substack provides. Why wouldn't it be the fastest rising of all those things, which is terrific. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you next time. Take